From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. Good morning. Happy 4th of July Eve. How's everyone doing? We got a lot to talk about today in cyber. A ton to talk about. But before we do that, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, comment. Let us know what you're drinking. I'm going to have my double espresso here in just a moment. It's my Segafredo version of my double espresso today. But nonetheless, prepping for the show this morning was an earful. Stuff, that's really kind of testing the resiliency of cybersecurity practitioners, because just when you feel like we make a step forward, everything is hackable, right? Let's start off with that. Everything is hackable. If anyone tells you this is unhackable, just tell them to go sit in the corner and think about what they just said. But we'll talk about what does that mean for practitioners on this morning's show. So go ahead, join me for a coffee cup cheers for everyone tuning in this morning. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. So let's kick off this morning with Evolve revealing the impact of their data breach. So for those who've never heard of Evolve Bank and Trust, they're not really your traditional financial services firm, specifically meaning they primarily provide additional services. They provide banking services to fintech companies. So companies like Wise and Affirm, who are not banks, but lend money, or potentially help you transfer money, and so forth. Their work on third-party credit cards. They're a fairly impactful financial organization in the microeconomic segment. Anything that you see kind of online will typically use Evolve Bank as kind of the first way to go to market, because it's the most affordable way and the quickest path to revenue. So when the LockBit group kind of went out and said we hacked the Federal Reserve, then it came out that really it was the Federal Reserve audit of Evolve Bank and Trust. You kind of understood the impact that's coming there. And so now that we understand what they do for business, because in security, you have to understand, you have to know the business you're protecting. You also have to know the business you're reporting on. So right here, we're kind of getting an idea of what customer and financial technology partner information is made available to the LockBit group based on this specific breach. Wise, a fintech firm whose services are widely used for international money transfers, they're now revealing that they are victims. They said that they've stopped working with Evolve back in 2023. However, the company still had data stored on there from 2020, between 2020 and 2023. Now, you'd ask yourself why. If you're not in fintech or financial services, you won't understand. You're required to keep 7 years worth of data for auditing purposes in financial services. So they technically have to keep the 2020 data until 2027 and the 2023 data until 2030. They have to legally. So there's that. So Evolve apparently provided USD account details to Wise customers, so they were required to hold identifying information there. That information includes names, addresses, dates of birth, contact details, SSN or EINs for US customers, and any other identity number for non-US customers. Evolve has yet to confirm what data may have been impacted. Wise is simply stating this is the data they stored. Affirm, the buy now, pay later firm that you typically see on many, many websites, has also filed an SEC filing saying that some of their customers were impacted as well. Affirm shares PII of Affirm card users with Evolve to facilitate the issuance and servicing of Affirm cards. So the Affirm card you have, if you look at the very back of it, it'll say issued by Evolve Bank and Trust. So there's that there. Evolve on Monday shared additional information. The company's confirmed that LockBit ransomware group was behind the attack. Its investigation revealed that the criminals gained access to its systems after an employee clicked on a malicious link. In addition to stealing the data, the hackers deployed file encrypting ransomware on Evolve's systems, but the bank said it had backups in place and claimed the data loss and impact on operations were limited. So there's that. We'll see how kind of this continues to evolve. I would say this is going to continue to evolve, and we're going to see a whole lot more companies come through as this goes. So stay tuned for that. For all this celebration a few months ago, we took down LockBit, FBI, MI6, the UK Cyber Center, the Interpol, Europol. They're all like, we're making an impact. Those guys sure seem to be a resilient bunch. Again, the decentralization of cybercrime has had significant impact, and law enforcement has not adjusted its tactics, and lawmakers have not adjusted laws to deal with the fact that there's decentralization. So the gang has now claimed responsibility on Croatia's largest hospital, forcing him to shut down IT systems for a day. The group claims to have gained access to patient and employee information, medical records, organ and donor data, and contracts signed with external company. The University Hospital Center in Zagreb, known as KBC Zagreb, suffered the attack last week. More than 100 specialists worked to restore the systems in the aftermath. The incident slowed down the work of emergency services, forcing the hospital to send patients to other institutions in Zagreb. They say the attack took them back 50 years to paper and pencil. Computers aren't that old, are they? Not in hospitals, not in Croatia. At least I've been to Croatia, not 50 years, y'all. Like on the bell curve of tech adoption, Croatia was not at the bottom end of that bell curve. You're more at the top end of that bell curve, buddy. Mr. Novak here may need a little bit clarification of 50 years. 20 years. I'll give you 20 years, bro. 20 years. All right, 20 years. Set you back 20 years. Pen and paper. Fair? Fair. Croatia police are investigating this as long with others, but LockBit hasn't gone anywhere, and Croatia's hospital has been set back 20, not 50 years. So just putting that there. The Patelco credit union is scrambling to restore banking services after a ransomware attack forced it to shut down its systems over the weekend. The California-based credit union, which serves roughly 500,000 customers, announced the incident on Sunday, roughly 24 hours after the outage occurred. The attack forced the financial institution to shut down some of its day-to-day banking systems, which impacted its online banking services, mobile applications, and call center. Currently, electronic transfers like Zelle, direct deposit, balance inquiries, and payments are unavailable. On Monday, Patelco confirmed that it fell victim to a ransomware attack, that it started the restoration efforts while the impacted services remained down. Withdrawals at a Patelco ATM and shared branch ATMs have not been affected by the incident, according to the credit union. The priority is safe and secure restoration of the banking systems. Now, something very interesting here. Regulation typically requires banks of a specific size with specific cap to have two systems. These guys didn't have that. So they only had one, essentially, technology provider for banking. When that system went down, they didn't have another one to go to. So when you think of this, they only had about $10 billion in assets and 37 branches just in California. So there's that. More there, but again, the regulation and the way it plays off based on size. So if you're a big bank customer and you go, whoa, could that happen to me? Technically, it shouldn't, because banks are supposed to have two systems, kind of a primary and a secondary, like power companies, like oil and gas companies are required to have two systems. So if one goes down, you can move to the other. FYI, redundancy and resiliencies are big for regulators there. Nearly 300,000 individuals have been notified by the Florida Community Health Center that that they've fallen victim to a data breach, and their personal health information was compromised in an attack in June of last year. The attack was discovered on June 13th of last year. The incident resulted in the information of current and former patients being compromised. The affected individuals received a notification letter sent via mail. A copy was submitted to the main AG office. The supplemental notification letter doesn't detail the type of information that might have been compromised, but on the website, it says it typically collects names, addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, financial information, health information, medical information, driver's license number, and other type of PII. FCHC says it has not received any reports of identity theft related to the incident, but is providing the impacted individuals with 12 months of complimentary credit monitoring and identity theft protection services, which is pretty much now a human right in America for pretty much every citizen, since almost everyone in this country has been impacted by a data breach at some point or another. And at this rate, you don't even need to pay to just you've got this from these companies. Just hang out, sit around, collect, Information falls, you get free credit monitoring, and why not? Not a bad idea. So many of you, like me, are huge identity people. And we look at identity and we look at MFA, and I often talk about MFA on the show. So this story here is one that's really what I love about science. So Joe Stewart, he's the principal security researcher over at eCentire's Threat Response Unit, has found an issue with passkeys. You know, those passkeys that are supposed to be safer than passwords. Well, apparently they opened themselves up to an adversary in the middle attack that makes them pretty much moot. So many websites provide less secure backup authentication methods in the event a user has an issue with their passkey or lost a device, so the accounts don't become unrecoverable. Attackers take advantage of this by simply inserting themselves between the user and the website, as they would in any adversary in the middle scenario, then manipulating what the login screen looks like so that the user isn't given a passkey option at all, since the adversary in the middle can manipulate the view presented to the user by modifying HTML, CSS, and images, even JavaScript in the login page and its proxy through the end user. They can control the authentication flow, remove the references to passkey authentication. According to a blog post, he referred to authentication method redaction attacks. Using this strategy, they can force the target to downgrade to a less secure alternative that can be intercepted by the lurking adversary. The discovery that blows a hole in the security conversation around passkeys. Agreed. 100% agree with what Joe found here. 100% with the fact that this isn't really securing, it's adding a level. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, if your passkey isn't working, if something's failing, you still need the user experience still matters, right? Security's got to complement the user, not limit the user. And so this is one of those cases where how you implement passkeys is really important, and how you allow other versions of flows to go in there become just that, and how do you track them. And while this isn't a vulnerability, it's really the sad reality of this type of technology. When you look at passkeys, you have to look at passkeys the same way as you would look at a password. Don't have a password, have a passkey, but you still need a secondary authentication method. The secondary authentication method is really, really important. Now, there's a lot of ways to do that. You can, if you're doing this in a corporate environment with passkeys, so you can really just limit to all passkeys coming from the VPN IP address. So they can try to spoof that, but then that becomes a little bit harder. You're controlling that. You can kind of see what's happening there. You can recognize anomalies, and typically they'll try and they'll do it without understanding that you may have a VPN in play. That's the only way to really authenticate. That's the secondary factor. You could do an MFA pop-up on a screen through a Microsoft Authenticator or a Google Enterprise Authenticator, and that way you're also kind of validating those passkey logins. Just something to keep in mind here. Looking at this passkey, it's definitely opening up another window. And again, every time we add a security layer, someone will come in and demolish it. So the fake bat loader campaigns are really emerging as a prominent threat, leveraging the drive-by download technique, which is predominantly used in SEO poisoning, malvertising, and injecting malicious code into compromised websites. It's where a user is convinced to download fake software or updates, and then inadvertently install malware like the fake bat or bat loader, or botnets like the Iced ID and Picklebot, and many, many other more. Sequoia Threat Detection and Response identified multiple fake bat distribution campaigns. These loader campaigns utilize diverse techniques, including fake websites that mimic popular software download pages, to lure users into downloading fake bat disguise as legitimate software. Now, one way to go about this, forget the capabilities of all of this stuff, but I'm just going to give you the defense aspect here. Have a library of all the softwares your company needs to download, have all the links, validate them through IT and security, and then put them on a company page that says you don't need to go and Google the page. We have all the softwares, all the EXEs are saved here with the right links. Go there, get it done. Small project, hire an intern, have them do it, gets it done. Microsoft discovered two significant vulnerabilities in Rockwell's automation panel view plus devices. These vulnerabilities could be remote exploited by unauthenticated attackers, enable them to execute remote code and initiate denial of service attack. The Microsoft findings highlight severe security gaps in the industrial space where these human HMIs terminals are widely used. The discovery by Microsoft highlights the critical need for robust yes technical details. 2 CVEs here, 2023 2071 has a CVSS score of 9 or 0.8. And 2023 29464 CVSS score of 8.2. The former involves an exploitation of two custom classes within the device. They can abuse these classes to upload and execute a malicious DLL. The second one is a custom class to send crafted buffer that the device cannot handle, leading to system crash. Maybe if Rockwell Automation didn't write code in China, they wouldn't have this problem. Just saying. Not saying that US writes perfect code, but saying, it's always suspicious when you do that. Cybersecurity researchers discovered an attack campaign that's targeting various Israeli entities with publicly available frameworks like Donut and Silver. The campaign, believed to be highly targeted in nature, leverages target-specific infrastructure and custom WordPress websites as payload delivery mechanisms, but affects a variety of entities across unrelated verticals and relies on a well-known open-source malware, according to Harfang Labs in a report last week. The company is tracking the activity under the name supposed Grasshopper in reference to attack-controlled server to which a first-stage downloader connects to. The downloader, written in NIM, is rudimentary and is tasked with downloading a second-stage malware from the staging servers that delivers by means of a virtual hard disk file that's suspected to have propagated custom WordPress site as part of a drive-by download scheme. So the end goal of the campaign is currently unknown. However, cyber attacks on Israel have increased since October 7th and obviously haven't decreased since. In fact, with tensions and everything else going on now, it's significant. Brazil's National Data Protection Authority determined on Tuesday that Meta, the parent company of Instagram and Facebook, can't use data originating in the country of Brazil to train its AI models. The decision stems from the imminent risk of serious and irreparable or difficult to repair damage from the fundamental rights of the affected data subjects. Brazil is one of Meta's biggest market. Facebook alone has around 102 million active users in the country. The nation has a population of 203 million, so around just over 50%, according to their 2022 census. This is a step backward, according to Meta, who say that this is a step backward for innovation. However, privacy and innovation have to find a way to work together. So there's that. That's it for our show this morning. Tomorrow, 4th of July, special episode. So tune in tomorrow if you can. And if you can't, catch it later. Make sure to subscribe, follow, share. If you've got any stories, make sure to drop them through our LinkedIn page, through our X page, or on our Substack. You can always send us a message there. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a happy 4th of July holiday if I don't see y'all tomorrow. And until then, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.